The most important safety tip in this video is the one we learned the hard way on a different trail. Later we'll show you the mistake we made and the simple habit that could have prevented a very bad day. So today, as we run Morgan City Wash, we're sharing safety tips every beginner off-roader should know, because beginner friendly does not mean risk-free. Morgan City Wash is a beautiful beginner trail near Phoenix with canyon and mountain views and just enough real off-road terrain to make these lessons count. Now, let's go. Morgan City Wash begins off Castle Hot Springs Road near Lake Pleasant. The trailhead is not marked, and it is easy to miss if you don't know where you are going. Before we left home, we downloaded the route from Trails Off-Road, and that brings us to our first beginner safety tip. Prepare before leaving pavement. There are 3 things every beginner should do before hitting the trail. First, check the weather. Morgan City Wash is exactly what it sounds like, a wash. If heavy rain is in the forecast, this is not where you want to be. Washes can flood quickly, and even if it is not raining directly over you, storms miles away can send water rushing down through low areas. Second, download your route before you go. Do not assume you'll have cell service once you leave pavement. We always save the trail on our phones before we start. That way, if the trail is not clearly marked, like this one, you don't have to guess at turns or try to find your way with no cell signal. Third, air down your tires. Airing down gives you a smoother ride, improves traction, and helps your tires conform to rocks, ruts, and uneven terrain. Even on a beginner trail, it can make the Jeep feel more stable and controlled. Just make sure you have a way to air back up before you drive home. These 3 simple steps will make your day safer, smoother, and more enjoyable. We're at about 4.7 miles, and this is an ranch, obviously abandoned. I tried to find some information about it. I think it's called Bog, B-O-G Ranch, named after a family that lived here. And this looks like it was the front door.
Well, let's see if anyone's home.
So apparently this was the home, or the foundation for the home. Although not much appears to be left. And a foundation for some structure. Really do wonder when people lived here, what they did for a living. Yeah, looks like a horse trough. We've temporarily jumped ahead in the video to illustrate our next beginner safety tip. Use 4-wheel drive before you need it. In other words, once you hit the dirt and the trail starts to get loose, uneven, rocky, or sandy, don't wait until you're already spinning, sliding, or stuck to shift into 4-wheel drive. The road you're seeing now is Castle Hot Springs Road, shortly after the end of Morgan City Wash, and this road is the exception that proves the rule. Castle Hot Springs Road is graded, maintained, and wide enough that 4-wheel drive is not necessary in good conditions, but most off-road trails are not this smooth and level, including Morgan City Wash. Once you leave the graded road and get into the wash, you start dealing with loose gravel, sand, rocks, ruts, uneven surfaces, and a steep climb we show you shortly. That is where 4-wheel drive helps. It spreads power to all 4 tires instead of making the rear wheels do all the work. This is a little over 5 miles. And we're stopping here because this relates to a video we posted a month or so ago, Hieroglyphics Mountain Loop, which is a great trail, not a beginner trail. We ultimately exited that trail going that way on Morgan Wash because we couldn't find LP8. We weren't sure where it was, which is where you have to turn to get back to the Boulders OHV area, but we decided Morgan Wash was much better to go. We'll link that video below if you want to see it. The pictures showed a sign here, and we just wanted to see if it fell down or where was it, because we couldn't find a sign for LP8. Fran found it. No, not in a great place at all, because it's very hard to see. If you decide to do Hieroglyphics Mountain Loop and you want to do it the way in the Fun Treks book, you'll know how to find it. Our next beginner safety tip is to leave room for other vehicles, especially around blind corners. This trail starts out fairly wide and open, but that changes as you get deeper in. The road narrows and there are several corners where it is hard to see what is directly ahead. Jeeps, trucks, dirt bikes, ATVs, and side-by-sides are all allowed on this trail, and side-by-sides in particular often come around corners much faster than you expect. Stay right when you can, slow down before blind turns, and avoid cutting corners. If the trail narrows, look ahead for pull-off areas where you can pass safe. On trail, we assume that something is around every blind corner, because eventually something will. This is the hill climb that takes you out of Morgan City Wash and up into the surrounding mountains, and this is one of the things that makes this trail so interesting. You go from sandy wash bottom to more elevation and beautiful mountain views. That variety is a big part of what makes Morgan City Wash such a fun beginner trail. But this climb is also the most difficult section of the route. At points, we pitched over 20%, which can feel much steeper from the driver's seat than it looks on camera. And what can make it intimidating for beginners is not just the grade, it is the fact that the trail curves as you climb. That means you cannot always see very far ahead, and you may not know exactly what the trail is going to do next. Also, there is a steep drop-off on the passenger side. That brings us to our next two beginner safety tips. First, when you are unsure, get out and walk the trail. There is no shame in stopping, getting out, and taking a look. In fact, that is one of the smartest things you can do off-road. Walking the trail lets you see what the camera often flattens out: the steepness, the ruts, the loose rock, the off-camber sections, and whether there is room to safely continue or turn around. Second, know when to turn around. One of the best safety decisions you can make is deciding not to force it. If you walk the trail and it looks too steep, too narrow, too washed out, too off-camber, or just beyond your comfort level, turning around is not failure. It is good judgment. So when the trail gets steeper, tighter, or harder to read, slow down, get out, look ahead, and be honest about your comfort level. Sometimes the smartest line is the one that takes you back the way you came. Up here, as the trail changes personality, you realize that the name Morgan City Wash does not really do this trail justice. Down in the wash, everything feels tighter and more enclosed, with the trail winding through sand, rock, and desert walls. But once you climb out, the whole route opens up. Suddenly, you are looking across rolling desert hills, distant mountain ridges, and those big Arizona views that stretch out into every direction. At a minimum, we think every beginner should carry a few basics. First, have a communication device. Do not rely only on your phone because cell service can disappear quickly in the desert. There are a lot of options available. We carry a Starlink Mini. Second, carry traction boards. If you get stuck in sand, loose gravel, mud, or a washed out section, traction boards can help your tires bite and get you moving again without needing another vehicle to pull you out. Have a first aid kit. It does not have to be complicated, but it should be easy to reach and stocked well enough to handle cuts, scrapes, burns, stings, sprains, or other minor injuries that can happen on the trail. Fourth, bring a compressor. If you air down your tires for better traction and a smoother ride, you need a reliable way to air back up before driving home at highway speeds. Driving fast on aired down tires can build heat, hurt handling, and damage the tires. Most of the time, you will not need your recovery gear, but when you do, you will be really glad it is in the Jeep. Our next tip is probably the most important one in this video. Look ahead and pick your line before you get there. On Morgan City Wash, you can see several places where water has cut across the trail and created small washouts, ruts, loose edges, and uneven sections. None of these look very dramatic on camera, but they are exactly the kinds of things that can catch a beginner or even an experienced off-roader off guard. One of the mistakes is looking only at what is directly in front of your tires. When you do that, you are always reacting late. By the time you notice the rut, the washout, the loose edge, or the off-camber section, your Jeep may already be committed to a bad line. Instead, look further ahead. Scan the trail. Notice where the hazards are. Decide where your tires need to be before you get there. You are not just following the trail, you are choosing the safest path through it. And this is the tip we learned the hard way on a different trail. This photo is from Senator Highway, not Morgan City Wash. Back then, our first off-road vehicle was a Subaru Outback, and we made the mistake of focusing too much on the trail right in front of us. We failed to look far enough ahead and pick the right line. Before we knew it, the vehicle dropped into a washout along the edge of the trail, and for a few seconds, we were afraid we might roll down into a gully about 50 feet below. Bad things can happen fast on trail, so slow down, look ahead, pick your line early, and do not wait until your tires are already in the problem to decide what to do. If you want to see the best practices we follow to stay safe while off-roading solo, check out this video, link below. Up ahead is Castle Hot Springs Road. From here, turn right to head back toward Phoenix and enjoy a super easy, very scenic drive back to Carefree Highway. Thanks for riding along with us today. Until we meet again, keep your rubber down and your spirits up.